Hello and welcome to Sincerely Elvis Presley. I'm Sean. If you're new to the channel, thanks for tuning in. And if you're not, thanks for returning. I appreciate it. This is a bit of a change to the advertised programming. Several weeks back, I showed some records that I picked up while my wife and I were on our travels, and I talked about how I'd radically re-altered this room, my office. Radically was probably a bit of an exaggeration, but I have moved things around quite a lot. Anyone that watched my original room tour will know that I started off with a box of LPs, and I think there was about third full, about 30 or so, 20, 25, 30. That's grown considerably over the last 6 months since I recorded that first video. So I've had to find a way to house that vinyl. And in doing so, I have moved a few things around. Some things have had to move out, some things have moved in, several new things have arrived. So I did ask if anyone would like to see an updated room tour, and there were a few takers. So I thought that's what I'd do today, just something a little bit different, a break from my look at Elvis through the years, and I will carry on and start 1972 next week as promised. But today I just want to give you a bit of a tour around of what's changed, and I'm going to try and do it differently this time. The first one that I did, basically I used my phone, went around, and we just overlaid some generic music over the top of it. This time I'm going to try and give as much as I can a commentary on various bits and pieces. So there's a couple of caveats with the video you're about to see. Firstly, I apologise for all the reflections. Basically, all of these walls, every single picture on the wall is framed, and it's framed with either perspex or glass. So it reflects back no end, and there really isn't anything I can do about that. And the other thing, because I'm going to give a commentary, I'm not entirely sure how clearly that's going to come out on a phone. I'll do my best to speak up, and I hope it does come through. But if it's a little bit muffled, I do apologise. Again, it's the limitations of the equipment I have. So yeah, I'm going to give you a little bit of a tour. But before I do that, I just want to give a shout out. Several weeks ago, Mark Kinsey of Mark's Elvis for Everyone channel gave me a really nice shout out in his channel. What he said was really, really nice, and it was really touching to hear, especially for me, who Mark's channel was one of the first channels I watched and thought, oh, I'd like to do something like that. So somebody that inspired me to then turn around, recommend my channel and say that it's become one of his favourites really did mean a lot. So thanks, Mark. I really do appreciate you doing that for me. And if anyone hasn't encountered Mark's channel, and I hope most of you have, but if not, I'm going to put a link. Mark's Elvis for Everyone. Check it out. I really love the stuff he does. Okay, so without further ado, let's take you on a little tour. Come and see my stuff. Starting with a couple of vintage Elvis mirrors, the sort you would have got in fairgrounds and gift shops in the, I'd say, 70s and 80s. We've got a Elvis light switch cover, reimagined Kentucky Rain single cover, and that is the flyer that was on Woolworths counters before the 30 #1 hits was released, with, in my opinion, one of the best taglines any marketing campaign ever had. Before anyone did anything, Elvis did everything. Over to the back of the top of the door, sorry. Those are a selection of film cells officially licensed, and because they're officially licensed, you never get everything exactly as you'd expect it, and for some reason Elvis in the Army comes before Jailhouse Rock, which is odd to say the least, but there you go. We have Repro, Trouble with Girls poster, a couple of reimagined single covers, original Almost in Love album cover, and a Repro Viva Las Vegas cover. There is the doorstop that I got when I went out on my birthday, my wife got me. Now, anyone that wants to know how I listen to my Elvis music, so when I started this channel, I did have a Victorola all-in-one system that frankly wasn't the best. When I did my video on Elvis, collecting Elvis vinyl, I'd switched over to a record deck, but that record deck outputted sound via Bluetooth, and to be honest, it wasn't the best. Bluetooth, there's something about the analog signal going into stereo via Bluetooth that just drops all the top end. So what I've got here, this is my system. I have now got an Audio-Technica AT LP5X with an upgraded cartridge and stylus with Shibata needle. And because I am struggling with space, I've had to go with powered speakers. And after a lot of to-ing and fro-ing and looking at various things, I landed on the Edifier S1000 Mark IIs. And they really are very, very good. I've got no complaints with the sound quality they deliver at all. Ideally, I'd have gone for a separate amp, but I just didn't have the room. Underneath here, you'll see that's how I deal with the CDs. So that is a Denon system. So both going into the powered speakers. Coming up, this is a recent acquisition. This is one of the swatches of Elvis clothing that was given away with the Other Side's box set. However, this particular framed version is Graceland authenticated and has a Graceland authenticated certificate on the back. Then we've got a ticket here from one of the concerts that Elvis was unable to give, unfortunately, because he passed away. That's a framed edition. Then we've got a reimagined Polk Salad Annie cover with the original 45. Got red vinyl framed rubber necking. Repro poster from Phoenix, September the 9th, 1970. Repro Vegas flyer with a Vegas image on it there. Then we come down to a swatch of Elvis's clothing from a jacket he wore during the production of It Happened at the World's Fair. It's a framed limited edition there. Then we come down, we've got the Bradford Exchange Elvis plate that lights up. We've got McCormick Elvis decanter from, I believe, the 80s, 70s or 80s. Nice Elvis bust. That dates from the 80s. And what's unusual about that one is it's in its raw state. Usually you see them painted up, but I've not seen any that haven't had any painting at all. That's a limited edition 68 special statue. Then we've got original Vegas menu from January-February season 1971. Original Summer Festival Vegas menu from 73. Gold plated If I Can Dream single. Reimagined You Don't Have to Say You Love Me cover with red vinyl 45. We've got a couple of the large 12-inch McFarlane Elvis figures. Moving back down underneath this record deck, this is where some of the books, so I've got all the Elvis UK books in there, and then some of the larger books. A couple of drawers, just got basic Elvis knickknacks in, nothing too exciting. Bits and bobs. Right, so underneath the McFarlane 12-inch, we have a frame ticket of a concert that was cancelled because it was double booked, and then when it was rearranged unfortunately after Elvis's death, so the concert basically didn't take place twice. There's a plaque there explaining it. Down in the corner, the other thing about the stereo is I do run it through Fozzy Audio Box 4 preamp, phono preamp. In the corner we've got various flight cases full of individual CDs, so things like MRS, original legacy releases, all original CDs, single CDs in dual cases and digipacks, etc. Then there's the 60 album collection box set. This is allegedly a strand of Elvis's hair, which I will be covering in a later video dedicated to those kind of artifacts and things. Reimagined in the Ghetto single. Original postcard from Las Vegas 1970 from the International. Framed limited edition red vinyl Suspicious Minds. Repro Italian That's the Way It Is poster. Completely reimagined Summer Festival 72 poster. That is a Rabbit Tanaka light box that changes colour. That's from, I think, the 80s, 90s. So down here we have the original box that I had the vinyl in the first episode, and the vinyl in here goes from the debut album through to Fun in Acapulco. I did have about 3 or 4 of these boxes that I was going to store vinyl in, but it really didn't turn out to be an efficient use of space and the floor was covered in them, so I've come up with another solution. And there's the swinging legs clock. That's a Rabbit Tanaka lamp that revolves and glitters. A couple of tins. That's a Repro 68 Special poster. That is allegedly a swatch of Elvis's clothing. Again, I'll cover that at a later date. Just moving down there, we've got another Rabbit Tanaka light glittering thing. So there we have another framed limited edition Red 45. My favourite Elvis album, That's the Way It Is, and I said in a video that my pristine copy was in a frame. Actually it was. I picked up another copy, so now the pristine copy is in my record collection and I've got another frame version on the wall. That is an original Vegas menu from the summer season in 1971. Framed Japanese coloured vinyl reissue of Rock and Roll No. 2. Down here we've got limited edition red vinyl Jailhouse Rock, limited edition framed red vinyl Burning Love, and limited edition framed red vinyl Hound Dog. Repro Elvis on Tour poster. That is an original photographic print from an art gallery. Made a limited edition. Repro Viva Las Vegas poster. Original menu from January-February season 1973. Reimagined American Trilogy single. There we have the box set of the Complete Masters Collection CDs. In the leopard skin trunk, that is full of books. That trunk there is full of DVDs, Blu-rays, and there's some books as well. And underneath the desk, got another of the vinyl trunk cases, crates, what have you. That's got Japanese vinyl and bootlegs in, and it also contains the Elvis Year in Review books, all the series. We've got some of the larger sets there. 68 Special, That's the Way It Is. The Amiga Elvis on Tour. And in that crate there, that's full of books as well. So that goes under the desk. And we move around. Reimagined single covers. Framed white vinyl Unchained Melody. That's a McFarlane Elvis on Tour lightbox. We've got a glass Elvis head from the 70s. A couple of early ceramics. That is a McCormick decanter from 70s, 80s. And that's a John Douglas limited edition brass sculpture. Now over here, so over there where the leopard skin is, anyone that watched the previous video would have seen an Elvis themed trunk there with pictures from Aloha on it. That was actually too big to fit in anymore, so that now sits on top of my wardrobe, and that has got the sort of books that I never reference, things like the Elvis monthly specials and just a lot of basic picture books that, you know, I just never reference, so they've been stored on my wardrobe. So this unit here, anyone living in the UK, I'd highly recommend one of these. This comes from Argos. It's a Habitat unit, and I got it because it was perfect size for putting vinyl in. Now, for me, the problem with UK vinyl is, unlike the American vinyl, the spines of most of the early releases are just plain white. So that was basically a wall of white spines with some colour ones towards the end. I just didn't like the way it looked, so I decided to use the storage unit that I bought for vinyl to house some of the big book sets. That Elvis, the Mono Masters, I actually acquired that yesterday, and I will do a feature on it at some point. You've got all your FTD big book sets, and then you've got some of the Eric Lawrenson and the boxcar sets. So they fit nicely into that, and I think, you know, if you look at it as a case, it just looks nicer than it did with the vinyl and spines. So moving to the vinyl, there's down here we've got a couple of 3D pop-up books, and then this is the rest of the vinyl. So this starts with Gold Records Volume 3, goes through all the original releases up until the recent Sony releases, so the most recent there being Elvis Memphis. And then you've got a selection of music on vinyls, Friday music, couple of FTDs, VPI releases, that kind of thing. So there's all the vinyl together. And then we move to the books, and we have FTD books on this shelf, plus a couple of Lawrenson volumes. Then on the next shelf we have, they're all books. Shelf after that we've got some books, but we've also got some of the box sets. So we've got a lot of the MRS box sets. There's the single box sets there, some bootleg releases, some of the official releases as well. Then we move to the sort of figures, bits and bobs. There's your Funko Pops, some of your limited editions. Again, swatches of Elvis clothing from various card sets. And then on the top we've got a set of those 4 Elvis figures, plus a McFarlane figure, Elvis Presley Boulevard sign at the top there. Then we go to, there's Funko Pops in there, there's the McFarlane sets. And there. Then we've got our CD sets, so some of the Sony sets, FTD sets, session sets, FTD classic album series, and some of the MRS releases. That's apparently another swatch of Elvis's clothing. Then we go back to books on this shelf. And over to there. And down onto this shelf, what we have here, both of these busts are original 70s, authorised by Colonel Parker's Boxcar Company. So I think the coppery brass one is around about 1978-79, and the ceramic one behind it is, I think, also the same period. Then we've got more books, some of the early FTD books, lots of Joe Tunzi books there, and of course with these shelves, you see behind here there are more books. You just can't see them. So moving down, here we've got some of the Kieran Davis books, some Lawrenson books, and a load of Joe Tunzi's at the end there. And then down onto our final shelf, finishes with a lot of the, we've got the Paul Alner discographies, and then we've got all the Lawrenson books, complete Elvis Files set, various bits and pieces. So there you go. And there you have it. That's the room as it's changed. Now, if anyone sees anything specific that they'd like me to talk about in detail, please do let me know in the comments. But it is worth mentioning that I'm going to cover everything at some point. You know, it's all up, as far as I'm concerned, it's all up. The idea is that I set the channel up to share my collection with fellow fans. So I'm going to get around to everything. There's a few additions that I've had recently that I really want to talk about. I have kind of locked myself into this year by year, so we've got a little way to go now. I kind of anticipate that I will run up to 1977, and that will probably take us to shortly before Christmas, the way things are going, the trajectory it's on. So once I'm sort of past that series, I'm going to then just kind of randomly pull things out, less of a sort of theme of following on, and I'm just going to pick things that I think might be worth sharing and show them and concentrate them. So I will get to anything, but I'd love to know if there's anything anyone particularly wants to see, because I'll make sure that's at the top of the list when I start doing individual bits and pieces and releases and what have you. So thank you very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed that little tour. If you saw anything you particularly liked, or anything you want to comment on, or whatever it might be, please do leave comment. I love reading all your comments. And you know, if you haven't done all the usual things of like, comment, share, subscribe and all that, please do so, because you know, this channel is growing, and that makes me overjoyed. I'm really glad that it's reaching people and people are enjoying what I do. It means so much to me, and there's nothing quite like being able to sort of share what you love with like-minded people. It's a fantastic thing to be able to do. So thank you so much for watching. Next time we will move on to 1972, but until then, take care. Ta-da.
We'll meet you again. May God bless you. Adios.